Welcome back to Valley News Now. Adam Chalifoux joined by the director, Devin Fry. And Devin, so great to see you. It's a Monday in late August. You know, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, it's game week. Gosh, I really don't know where to start. We've both been, covering the Bison, following the Bison, if you will, for a few years now. It's the beginning of a new era.
Yep.
There's no denying that, and you have such a amazing matchup to start.
It's super fun, and like the season opener would be excited no matter who they were playing.
Right.
But to go out to Colorado, a team that's had national headlines for the last couple seasons, and to be able to open up the season in that kind of environment, which from what you've told me, I'm very excited to experience now.
Oh, it's amazing.
At Folsom Field there. So no, I'm very excited to get into that, and it would be exciting anyway, especially because of the Coach Polasek's era really starting. And it's been cool to see him go through the spring and fall as he kind of returns to Fargo and makes the team his own, makes the team his brand. And it's cool to see. And, through the summer, even with the recruiting news, we have not stopped talking about Coach Polasek since he got the job.
Yeah.
And it's well-deserved. And so it's really cool to kind of be at this point now where we're actually in a game week. We're actually getting into what we need to get into as far as game preparation. We got to talk to Coach Polasek today. We talked about, we were finally able to talk about Colorado for the entirety of the press conference, which is rare at this point. And I should have brought the two deep with me, but we got to learn who the starters are going to be. Don't worry, I took a picture of it. I'm well prepared.
Yeah, you're ready.
As you know, I'm always ready. But no, we got to learn some stuff about the team we're going to see this year. There's some unsurprising spots that are filled, like obviously Cam Miller starting at quarterback, Rajah Nelson at one of the starting wide receiver spots. The other starting wide receiver, this is fun for this name pops a lot of intrigue out there. Bryce Lance, wide receiver number 1 right now, and so Coach Polasek got really fired up too at the press conference, saying that he can't believe he's had one career catch, and so he's very excited to get
pumping him up a little bit. You know?
And that's a guy that I've talked to candidly, off camera, like that's the guy I want to see the most kind of continue to grow and evolve in this game. So a few things that they got figured out. We knew that Gray Zabel and Mason Miller would be starting on the offensive line on either side of it. It's the spots in the middle that they were working on filling out. Guard, center, guard. Left guard's going to be Griffin Empey. Trent Fraley going to be starting at center. He's a sophomore. His dad is the offensive line coach for the Lions.
Okay, that's that guy.
Exactly. And Jake Rock, he's been a name floating around as a backup for quite some time there, and now he gets his starting spot at right guard. So very exciting times for the offensive line. Rajah Nelson and Braylon Henderson to the other couple wide receiver spots. Joe Stuffle starting at tight end. Defensively, this D-line it looks incredible on paper.
And it needs to be for this matchup too.
Exactly. And that's where we were talking before this. That's where this game's going to be won or lost for North Dakota State is in the trenches.
Absolutely.
Athlete-wise, Colorado has the edge on athletes. And Coach Polasek actually had a very good point towards the tail end of his press conference there. If this was 2012 or 2014, there would be a little bit more of a gap as far as athletes go. But that's just how the FCS was at the time. But now the game has grown so much. NDSU really has some athletes that can compete with Colorado. So that is still a slight edge for Colorado in the athletics department. It's going to come down to in the trenches there. And this defensive line, Dylan Hendricks at 1D end, Eli Mostard at D tackle, Jackson Dutenheffer at nose guard, and LaShaka Rokes at D end. And then even the backups, Cole Menz and Hunter Zenzen at D end, Will Mostart, another backup D lineman. And both
the Mostarts are healthy.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to get both Mostarts. Hunter Zenzen, who missed all of last year. He's back in the lineup this year. And Coach Polasek even told us that this depth chart could probably be looked at as more of like a seniority thing. These guys are all going to see time.
Well, the depth is crazy.
It's crazy. Well, it's the exact opposite situation that we had last year. Last year we were talking about we're trying to fill some holes on defense. Who's going to step up? And then Logan Kopp and Cole Wisniewski did, and now it's like, oh, they have all this depth. Funny, I should mention Cole Wisniewski. Do you like how I segued into my own?
Well done.
Cole Wisniewski, he's not starting this game, and injuries are that foot injury that he did have to get surgery on. It's still giving him issues, and so he's going to be out. Coach Polasek called it an extended period of time, and it sounded like right now they're kind of just making him basically a player coach. Right now, he's going to be more leading the team from the sidelines, which you got to hate it for that kid coming in as a preseason All-American. And him and Hunter Brogio suffered a bad injury in camp. And so Hunter Brogio, preseason All-American fullback, also out. thankfully.
And it sounds like he's done.
Correct. Yeah, his career is going to be. This was going to be his last season. The injury is going to keep him out for the entire year, so his career is over.
You hate to see it.
And so, thankfully, though, with fullback and tight end, they have plenty of depth in there as well. Truman Wehrmeyer out of Fargo Davies. He's going to be starting fullback on this 2 deep here. So I didn't mean to gloss over the fullbacks for anybody listening.
Especially at NDSU, you cannot afford to go.
So those are the big injuries to look out for. Cole Wisniewski obviously out, so it's going to be Ryan Jones and Sam Young in the defensive backfield. Tony Shidemi Alfaro, I probably messed that name up all the way, is playing corner, and then Marcus Shepard at the other corner. And so those are going to be the final defensive guys to look for. And injury-wise, stepping in for Cole Wisniewski, it's got to be a tough task there, especially with all the things they were expecting from him. Hunter Brogio out, like we mentioned. Barika Penu out of Cheyenne. He was dealing with a leg injury around media day. Yeah, no, it was, I believe, the day of media day, because we were interviewing him and we had to actually go move to him because he couldn't come all the way to us. That was how fresh that leg injury was. But Coach Polasek said he's going to be a Wednesday decision as to whether or not he'll be playing. So Marty Brown and TK Marshall, they're going to be taking the brunt of the carries there. So this is just exciting. We finally have an idea of who exactly is going to be out there and who we're expecting big production from. And they're going to need every single one of these, because this is obviously a game that they're going to need their big contributors to step up for. Anytime you play an FBS opponent, we saw it against Arizona last year, who was not exactly an FBS power last year, but they have that edge just by the recruiting and the brands that they have, the athletes they're able to bring in. So it all comes down to preparation in the trenches, like we were talking about earlier. And that's kind of where Colorado has seen a lot of their biggest shakeups, is the offensive line especially. And
that's where you have this just unique, I guess there's so many different matchups where it's like strengths against strengths, maybe strengths against weaknesses. It's, if you get NDSU and you put them against Georgia, I think the Bulldogs get the job done.
Right.
But like, FBS is obviously you're getting the best of the very best, but then Colorado's this unique program where you had some of these FCS kids like Shedeur, like Travis Hunter, who played at Jackson State, follow Dion over.
And I want to make that very clear. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are both FBS guys, like they would have been coming out of high school.
Oh, absolutely.
They wanted to go play for Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
So, and that's another guy that the Bison are going to have to. He's listed as the nickel on Colorado's 2 deep, I believe, and so he could be covering anyone from tight end out to the X.
Yeah.
They're going to be moving Travis Hunter all around. That's going to be the biggest thing to watch for.
They got to contain those 2 guys. And then when you chase down Shedeur, I mean, the thing is, if you can't then contain the pocket, you are in trouble big time.
Well, and Shedeur he's improved so much as a drop back passer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a really good quarterback.
Training under Tom Brady, famously.
Right, and he's also an athletic freak. So
absolutely.
It's Coach Polasek called him the best player that North Dakota State has played against.
And not just like, best player we've seen. He said best player North Dakota State has played against.
And they played Cooper Kupp a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's as far as praise goes. And both those guys are going to be top half of the first round of the NFL draft.
And Shedeur's a Heisman candidate right now for it's preseason, obviously. So I could be a Heisman favorite if I say so. Because no one's played any games yet, besides the Week 0 teams. But no, it's such an intriguing matchup, and it's so fun to see how this game has evolved, because before this was kind of the backup option because they couldn't play Oregon.
Really?
So they were supposed to play Oregon, and then COVID happened.
Okay.
They moved that game. And then that game got just kind of canned outright, and so they found another Pac-12 team at the time. And at
the time, Colorado. It's like, I guess we'll settle for Colorado.
Sure, we'll go to Boulder, whatever. And now they're a massive national brand with Deion
you think
Sanders
it's going to be Mel Tucker and the boys.
It's a little bit of an upgrade from that, no offense. But I talked to Coach Polasek a little bit as well. I asked him straight up, I was like, your first game as a head coach, Deion Sanders is on the other sideline. And he gave a very good composed answer. I truly don't think that it's like in his brain at all that Deion Sanders is over there, but it's kind of cool. And it has to be looked at that way.
And you can't, especially if you're the coach, the players are looking up to you, you can't be like when I was at Sox fan convention as a college student, I couldn't stop staring at Bo Jackson.
Right, exactly.
You can't just be like, that's Deion Sanders. They're going to look to you for the leadership there.
Right.
You can't have the moment be bigger than the team.
Right, and he brought it around to that at the end of his answer. He was like, he's a football guy, so he respects and admires everything that Deion has done and like how incredible of a player he was. And then he was like, but at the end of the day, this isn't about him or it's not about either coach on either side. It's about the players on the field. And you brought up a good point too. Coach Polasek told us that he's been preparing his guys for the hoopla that a Colorado matchup brings.
Yeah, we're probably going to see Lil Wayne.
Probably. Well, no, he's got to evolve now because he had Lil Wayne.
He had Lil Wayne last year.
So
yeah, and that was just against like Colorado State.
Right, exactly.
But you're going to have that random person. Like I guarantee there's going to be a musical performance that we didn't know about.
Coach Polasek said he was like, there might be a concert before the game, we don't know. And like it's just the national brand that Colorado has become, and NDSU just kind of has to, and they've always been very good at that. The coaching staff, the program as a whole, they've always been very good at looking past distractions. They don't let the moment get to them, and I don't see that being any different against Colorado. And the players are there on a mission. They know that they have an opportunity to do something pretty special if they're able to beat Colorado. That's a heck of a way to start the year.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it earlier in the day and what that could do for, even if they give Colorado, even like the spread's 9.5, even if they cover the spread, what that's going to do for recruiting. Because the eyes of the nation, college football fans, this is in some ways a bigger platform than NDSU gets in FCS National Championship game, because the platform that comes with the viewers, the eyes, and the glamour that comes with the Deion Sanders Colorado team. And then if NDSU can go out there and punch them in the mouth and be the Clubber Lang, if you will, we're like, wow, this team's tough. If they can really showcase their identity as a program, it's almost the antithesis, and that's what I love about this matchup. You got the Buffalo against the Bison, but you got two teams that are so very different. Like one, I'm going to use the word Frankenstein team with Colorado. It's all transfers. It's all, like players from everywhere, very flashy. And then you have NDSU, and it's this, we're going to beat you through the line. We're going to be more tough than you. We're going to be more physical than you. And we're going to beat you with old-fashioned, just smash mouth football.
And that's they're going to have to lean into that identity so much.
That if they win, that's how they're going to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this, with how much of a spotlight this is, it's the only game that at that time slot on ESPN, nationally broadcast.
Not ESPN2, not the Ocho.
Not the Ocho, not yet. And so the reach there is huge, and it kind of just serves as a reminder, like, hey, this is North Dakota State. This is who they are. They used to get that quite a bit when they would play, back when FBS teams were scheduling them. They would go beat Kansas State, and then the recruiting uptick would be huge, and then that's how you get more national championship caliber players. And so this is just kind of, I think, a good nationwide reminder for North Dakota State. If they go out there and play their brand of football and do it well, and like you mentioned, the spread's 9.5. Colorado is almost a double-digit favorite here. They just have to make an impact. That's all they have to do. Obviously, they want to win the game. They want to go out there and win, but all they have to do is make an impact.
Well, I would even say, like, when you look at the spread, that puts the pressure on Colorado. NDSU, hey, whether we think or the fans think, no matter what anyone thinks, NDSU's coming out there and, hey, well, we're supposed to lose by about 10. And so
you have an opportunity. An opportunity to do something special. And as a former college player, let me tell you, well, of course, Mayville State, not necessarily the biggest.
Not exactly, but Colorado Boulder.
But nobody was expecting us to beat Dickinson State. And you have that chip on your shoulder going into that game because you know that the small section of fans that are paying attention, they don't expect you to win. And that helps you. Now, this is nationwide.
And Colorado's probably, like, some of these guys are probably insulted, like, oh, how are we not bigger favorites against this FCS program?
I do think Deion has done a very good job of expelling that because he was
asked. He should.
He knows. And he was asked very early on about scheduling North Dakota State first game, and he was straight up like, I'm mad at my athletic director for scheduling this game. Because he knows what when these teams schedule FCS teams, they tend to do it as a tune-up game. And that comes back to bite them from time to time. But that's the whole reason why the App State win over Michigan was as big of a deal as it was. Michigan scheduled this team assuming it would be a win. And that's very clearly not what Colorado was doing. They wanted a really good game, apparently, and that's what they're going to get. And so I'm excited for it. I really don't have. This could go so many different ways. You know, and
there's worlds where I see NDSU winning. There's worlds where I see them getting blown out.
There's really no way to call this matchup because, and frankly, we haven't seen this year's version of this team play together. We haven't seen this defensive line as healthy as they are. We haven't seen this offensive line play as a unit.
New offensive coordinator.
Colorado has so many portal kids. I don't know how to. Coach Polasek had like a printout with the receivers that all had transferred in with like, and so like we don't know what they're going to look like either playing as a team. We know Shedeur Sanders is going to do some insane things. We know Travis Hunter is going to be the best athlete on the field, whichever direction he's in. And we know NDSU is going to try to grind this one out. Which way that favors, it's up in the air. And I think that's the most exciting way to start the season. Last year was great. We were going to US Bank Stadium. We knew that Eastern Washington is an historical power. It's a cool FCS versus FCS power.
But NDSU should
win that one, especially with the year Eastern Washington was coming off of. But this one, it's so up in the air. Either one can win. And I think that spread. We saw a lot of, I think Hawaii was favored by 40 points over Delaware State. So we don't know exactly how these are going to go. But so you don't invest in that too much. But it's still a good indicator of kind of what the public sees Colorado as, which I think is fair. Colorado has kind of built up this reputation of they're going to have the best athletes on the field. And Deion Sanders is going to put his team in a good position. And so they get this kind of well-deserved preseason hype every single year. North Dakota State, at the end of the day, a lot of the casual fans, not us, still view them as an FCS team that they don't know much about. And they hear North Dakota State, and they think, oh, they won a bunch of national titles a while ago. But that's the last that they've heard. Exactly. And so
it's not Trey Lance, not Carson Wentz. You know, like when you go to the Sports Illustrated preview article, because I looked at that today and I'm just wondering, like, okay, what's the national conversation? It talks about Cam Miller completed 72% of his passes last year, only 4 interceptions, 32 touchdowns. You know, they're going to say, all right, here's my highlighter guy. But it's a lot like, I think for the viewers at home, North Dakota State has just such a diehard fan base that a lot of times they're more knowledgeable than the ESPN broadcast team, because you can't just do a quick study. But you know, NDSU, the diehard fans, they're going to know. They're going to know every mispronounced name. They're going to be taking their receipts.
Tell you about it on
They're going to be tweeting about it. You know, but what I do think is very cool about the matchup, and you touched on it, was, you know, with Deion Sanders coming from the FCS coaching level, NDSU is no secret.
Exactly. He knew, and I think he has kept such like a realistic view of this entire matchup. And we've been working a little bit with CBS Colorado because they have a coaches show with Deion. I'm very excited to hear that. I'm excited to see that and hear a more extended version of what he thinks about this matchup, because we got the one clip of him being like, man, I wish they would have given me an easy game week 1. But I'm curious to see what he thinks of them as a unit, what he sees from them on film, but also it's a new offensive coordinator this year, so there's just a lot of different factors going both ways.
There were people who wanted the Jackson State matchup against NDSU for years.
And that would have been, God, that would have been fun too. But that also shows the variety of FCS football too. Like the fact that Deion Sanders, and like because of the bubble that so many teams live in the FCS, we never got to see the Jackson State NDSU matchup. But I mean, now we get it at a much higher level. And so
it's going to be. Gosh,
I'm excited.
I like I said, goosebumps, man.
No, I'm very excited, and we're going to be in Boulder. I'm heading out there tomorrow. And so Wednesday and Thursday are going to be loaded up with NDSU versus Colorado content. So, hey, stay tuned.
And so we'll be talking throughout the week. I can't wait to see kind of what your first read on that, get a good look at the stadium, the digs.
Very excited for it.
You know, very
special
night for the program.
Yeah.
Special opportunity.
It's huge, and they know that. Every single Coach Polasek has said that he has asked his guys to limit social media starting today.
Love that.
Which I mean, with the Colorado burner accounts that have been reposting everything I say, they should avoid. But no, they act fast. Those burner accounts act quick. But no, and so they know how big of a deal this is, and they don't need to avoid social media they're still going to know how big of a deal this is. And if I hear the word excitement one more time about this matchup, that's been the big prevailing word of it. It's an exciting matchup, and what a way to start the year. And it's starting FCS season with a bang. So
no
excited.
Kidding.
And I also wanted to plug real fast, if you don't mind if I do. Speaking of college football, we're finishing up our Gridiron Tour today.
Okay.
We have talked to all 9 college football teams in our viewing area now, which how crazy is it that we're in a viewing area with 9 college football teams?
People forget that.
Some people don't get one. So we finish it up. We're talking to NDSCS today.
Okay.
Eric Moon went out there, and we had a nice little feature on that as well. So we have 9 teams. We've talked to all 9 teams. We're wrapping up the tour right before the FCS season kicks off. So that's going to be at 6. We're going to be able to hear from Coach Polasek tonight at 10. So be sure to stay tuned. We're also going to have word from UND today. So
beautiful.
I just wanted to plug my sports.
Football season, baby.
Football. We're
it's
so
here.
back. We're
it's here.
so back.
Huge for the program. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking the score with us. We'll see you next time. Devin, we'll see you real soon. Keep up the good
I'll
work.
be around.
Stay on the beat, my friend.
Always.
And we'll see you next time on Valley News Now.